The world outside is not in your control. Yes, in fact, the world within is very much in your control. The subject of relentless silent will, or the resolute silent will, is a subject that each professional must be aware of and understand and try to associate with its learning. Will, generally we know it as willpower. But I don't use the word power with it, because the most unfathomable and formidable forces need not be assigned the word power. They are what they are. And the resolute silent will is such an unfathomable, formidable power. Once born into any incumbent, the entirety of that incumbent and around him, that is, surrounds of such a human being, start changing in its accordance. One becomes the instrumentalist, instrumental, in order to orchestrate one's own situations. Whatever the element of adversarial aspects be, whatever the aspects of confrontationism be, whatever the elements of dissuasion from all around be, a human being born with relentless silent will cleave to his own objective and his own inner effulgence to the extent that he would manifest or she would manifest whatever he or she sorts, seeks, transpires, envisions, has charted upon. This learning is mandatory for a professional of today, because devoid of this ability, the most venomous aspect of stress start piercing down the harmony of a human being. Stress is the incapacity to accept the adverseness that starts surrounding any human being, especially in the professional parlance. But if you bear this enormous inner endurance by the name relentless silent will, whatever confrontation you may pass through, you come out unscathed. Stress can never even put a scratch on you. On no count you shall be ever accrued to any kind of an injury, be it emotional, thought, or otherwise, and yet would always stick to your own primary pursuit. I've sought this subject in form of a 3-day learning program. Generally, I prefer to teach it as a knowledge retreat, where I must make people aware what exactly the silent will is. How can one associate with it? How can one manifest it within one's own self? And how that silent will can gradually, out of a deeper acceptance, change everything surrounds you. The surrounds of your own entirety can easily be transmutated by the silent exercise of the power of relentless will. I may not be able to deliberate much about this subject in this introduction because it is a great esoteric learning. But let me conclude once again by reiterating the same aspect which I started with. Stress management. Stress cannot be managed, but will certainly, the effulgence of will certainly can be unleashed. And once you're able to unleash the unfathomable effulgence of your own inner silent will, stress of any form coming from any corner cannot infringe, cannot come in and try to injure any kind of an interest that otherwise could be an impediment to your growth. This is a deep learning that every leadership, especially the business leadership, that aspires to grow, that aspires to acquire a status on a global basis, must learn. Wherein challenge is the norm of life, the will is the basis on which one can survive and serve through without landing into any kind of a trouble. Join me in one of those programs of 3-day learning on relentless, silent will for business leadership.